Yes, it's working. Awesome. Okay, I'm so excited because I thought of this topic a few days ago and I was like, this is something that I needed to hear, even just a week ago, I would say, because Chad and I really honed in on what it means to be a business owner and what does it look like to actually put that into practice as opposed to talking about it all the time and actually making it a real life thing, because I think it's something so easy that we talk about all the time and we go over and we're just yeah, we're business owners, we're CEOs, but we don't actually put this stuff into practice. And I was the worst for so long with all of this. I did not put anything into practice. And I read so many books about being a business owner and a CEO. And I just would be that's going to be nice someday when I'll get to do that. And it's no, you can do it right now. But I just, for some reason, limited myself, and I was it's too hard to make the plan or take the time, but it really isn't that hard. And Chad and I just did this for the first time. We experimented with writing out a schedule and a detailed plan, and it's so simple. And I feel that's just one of the biggest things about being a CEO and a business owner. It's just really planning, coming up with a plan ahead of time. So that's what I'm going to talk to. But the first thing I want to touch on is confidence, really, because I feel that's the first thing we run into when we become coaches and we're now this business owner is, well, how do you portray that confidence to other people? If you go to Thanksgiving or a holiday and you see your family, it's hard to share what you do with them. It's hard to feel confident about it if you don't have this massive team or you haven't been doing it for that long. So one thing I just want to share with you guys is when you're approaching people about coaching, whether you're just sharing it to share it or whether you're sharing it to get them to sign up, is have no apologies about it. Because if you think about it, that's what a CEO would be doing. That's how a CEO would be talking about their business. If you were, the CEO of a massive company, you wouldn't have apologies talking about it to your grandma. You'd be so stoked, So that's the first thing. It's just approach whoever you're talking to about this business and your business, it's your baby, because it is. Have confidence and belief in what you're doing. And another really good question to just ask yourself in order to kind of find that belief and confidence is, why are coaches needed? Why is our role in the health industry so important? For me, I had no success until I had a coach. So for people like me who need that accountability and somebody to just kind of give them the extra push and the kick in the pants, that is the missing link for me. And so that's why I originally signed up. So I think just knowing why and what your role is in a person's fitness routine or in the health industry as a whole is so vital also to just promoting yourself with confidence and having that CEO and that business mindset. Because I know even in the past month, a few people have reached out to me on Instagram and been what do you do? It's so cool. I want to collaborate with you. And it's not so much they want to sign up as coaches, but they want my service and they want me to share it maybe with their community. And I had to check myself and be oh my gosh, I feel a little bit apologetic. I feel I'm not promoting myself or sharing this with as much belief as a business owner and a CEO would. So just really good questions to start asking yourself. And then another one is thinking about our service as coaches and that it's something of value. Obviously if we needed coaches, when you originally signed up, you wanted a coach, you got paired with a coach and it helped you. And same thing with me. So remembering just that we are of value, our service has value, it has financial value. And what is that relationship? What's your relationship with that value right now? Maybe it's in a really bad state. Maybe you feel you don't have much value, your service isn't of much value. I know when I started out, I felt so excited when somebody would want to work with me. I was so just attached to every single person that would want to work with me that I almost was downplaying my value and the value of my services as a coach. And that's not what a CEO would do. So rise up and remember that, if somebody's being stingy about signing up with you, or if somebody is, asking, does this cost anything? Your service has so much value and it's our job to educate them on that, not be rude person about it, but just educate them. Because like, if you were a CEO of this massive company, you'd be like, well, yeah, of course, like this is the service I provide and it costs this much because I'm worth that much when I'm providing that service. So the last thing is just touching on like, what are your specific passions with coaching? I feel like I talk about this all the time, but it's so important to remember like your specific passions within coaching. Like, I know for me, I just get so much passion out of the challenge group. I just love seeing other girls crush their journeys. Like when I see them post their sweaty selfies, when I see them posting their recipes, I get like so hyped up and motivated. So remember that, like, you know, whatever that little piece is that you're super passionate about, that's going to be your biggest selling point, whether you're communicating, you know, the business opportunity to somebody, or again, you're just like sharing what you do with your grandma or your aunt or something. Always go back to like, what is the thing that you're most passionate about? Because that's where the natural confidence and the natural CEO mindset will come into play. Like nowadays, I'm also really passionate about the business side of things. I feel like just teaching people like how to earn money and how to turn this into a business and have this business mindset, like I'm telling you guys. But before, when I started, I was not confident in that. So like, it wasn't a huge passion of mine, and like, that's okay. It's always going to change, and it'll always like grow as you grow. But use whatever it is that you're most passionate about right now to like kind of give you that support and belief and like a reminder, like, oh yeah, I am an expert on this. I am a CEO of this, you know? So number 2 is just, I want to dive into like the actual like ways to treat this like a business. How do we actually like put that into play and not just talk about it all the time or read books about it all the time? That stuff's really good too. So I just want to share the quote, and I say this all the time, but like, if you want this to work and pay you like a business, then you have to be willing to work and show up, you know, like it's a business, and then it will. So number 1, just like recognizing that because it's a business, because it's your job, there are going to be sacrifices involved. There are going to be like time sacrifices, energy sacrifices, sleep sacrifices, money sacrifices. And just know that like every job out there has those things. So that doesn't mean that coaching sucks or like it's bad. It's just a job like anything else out there. And I think having that recognition of that is really empowering, because you're not expecting it to be perfect. You're not like showing up to work every day like, oh, I can't wait for everything to go, you know, amazing. It's like you're ready for things to go wrong, and that's good, because you're kind of putting on this suit of armor, like, okay, I'm ready for the next coach cancellation. I'm ready, and not in a state of fear, but just like a CEO, you know, like you are powerful. You have, you know, choice every single day. You can take action in your business. And you don't have to be afraid of like the bad things that happen or the sacrifices you're going to have to make. Just being aware of them, and that there's, you know, that those are a part of it is so, so, so important. And then also like just coming back to when those things maybe are getting you down, because obviously like this is a business. And so like I'm saying, it's not going to be all butterflies and rainbows, but on those bad days, I think it's so important to remember that like those sacrifices are an investment in your business. I always look at it like, okay, I'm giving up Netflix right now to do 50 reach outs or like whatever it is. I'm making the sacrifice over here to do this because I'm investing in my business. I'm investing in my future. And so then I don't feel as bad. It's like, oh, well, I'm just like putting off, you know, the satisfaction. And then it's always relatable to like health, you know, our health journeys. It's like, I'm putting off the cookies now so I can have them on my birthday, and I'm going to eat the kale now or whatever. So I just find it so easy to like do that when I have that relatable kind of like metaphor. I don't know if that helps you guys, but so the second part of just like how to put this into practice is realizing that like excuses are always going to be there, just like they are in like your fitness journey and anything really. And when those excuses come up, when it's kind of like when you're at the crossroad, like you have to make a sacrifice usually, and then you're like, oh, excuse, you know, like I don't want to do this because of blah, blah, blah. Oh, but I don't want to spend the money because of this, and I have to pay for that. But sitting in the negativity, like with those excuses, doesn't move you forward in your business. And so a CEO, like constantly asking yourself, what would a CEO do? Well, CEO would probably just assess the situation with like a very level head and like no emotions, which is hard for us to do, like especially as women. But they would assess the situation kind of from a distance and be like, okay, what is the plan of attack? How am I going to solve the problem? So I think that's also kind of an entrepreneur mindset, which is so important. But that's really such a huge part of our job, and something that I'm learning lately is so huge is like, okay, I have this problem in front of me, and I could either like be really, really upset about it and like sit in that negativity all day and pretty much have an unproductive day, or I can be the CEO, like put on my CEO hat and just make the decision and decide to move forward with the next best thing. So I know like that's something that's just been so empowering for me. So every time that you come up against one of those moments, or that, the excuse that comes up, that is like doing what a business owner would do and a CEO would do. And it's actually super empowering when you start like making that happen in those moments. So the next thing is like actual steps that I've been putting into practice, which are helping me so much treat this like a business and create so much more freedom in my life. Like, since I am a full-time coach now, I have the freedom to schedule my days. And beforehand, it was harder to do that with all those different obstacles in my path. But I feel like now it's actually harder because I have to choose everything and I have to make the whole entire plan. Whereas when I had a job and all these other things, it was like I just had to work around it. So I like want you guys after this call, or even if you want to do it during, like bring or pull out your calendar, you can use your Google Calendar. I like to use an actual like physical calendar because it helps me, like I'm just tangible. But like actually create a schedule for yourself so you can follow it like a business owner would do. So number one, like with this whole schedule thing, is clock in early and on time. Like this is something, we all read about in books. And this is something I've noticed for myself. When I treat this like a business, I'm like waking up at 6 a.m., clocking in to actually like work officially at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whenever I decided for myself to like be working. And then also like asking myself, it's kind of like a gut check question, but what if I was paid for the time I spent working today? What would be my hourly rate based on productiveness? That is just like the worst question, but the best question at the same time, because I know when I'm not treating this like a business and when I'm not showing up like serious and ready to get work done, my answer is like $0. It's like you scrolled on social media all day. You didn't earn anything. So I just feel like that's the best question to ask yourself right off the bat, like maybe even before you start making your schedule, or maybe just in the morning, right when you're about to like clock in and do your work. So the second part of this like whole schedule is sticking to your business hours. So for example, like Chad and I pulled out my calendar on Sunday night, and we literally took like 20 minutes to write out this whole like schedule of every single day up until Sunday. And at 9 a.m. it's like get home from the gym, and then 10 a.m. is like official like clock in. And so then I wrote on my schedule 10 a.m. until 12:30. I'm going to do invites, reach outs, and check in with my groups. So I'm being like very specific, and like in doing that, I'm able to be more diligent with my time. So if you are part-time right now, maybe you have to go to your job for a certain amount of time, and then you come home and it's like, okay, when is my like power hour? And then during that power hour, like literally break it down. I know it's like, it can seem tedious, but it's so helpful when you take the time to do this. Break it down and be like, okay, first 10 minutes of my power hour are invites. Second 10 minutes are reach outs, or, break it down however you want to. And there's also a really good graphic in our business builders page. I think I shared a while ago from Amy Rada. It was maybe even from a Team Fight to Finish call, but it like goes over a really productive power hour, and just having those little checkpoints and timers, like, is so helpful. So stick to your business hours. If you didn't get all your work done in the time you had set out for you, it's not like an excuse, or I'm not like giving you permission to just like, work longer in order to get it all done. I've done that, but I think it's honestly like better to cut yourself off and like almost kind of punish yourself for not getting your work done in the amount of time. Not if it was like the last day of the month, I wouldn't tell you to do that. But I've been doing that for myself. Like 9 a.m. is like my screens off time. Nowadays I'm trying, that's my goal. And Chad and I will check each other and be like, nope, like you can't get off your phone right now because you had the time, you just didn't make the most of it. And so really just being firm with your boundaries, like tell everybody in your family, tell everyone that you live with so that they will hold you to it as well. And then the next day you'll remember that and be like, oh, I don't want to be, you know, on my phone at this time when I'm not supposed to be working my business and, you know, annoying my significant other or whoever, or just feeling like I'm all over the place and not present. So that has just been so helpful. Like be a stickler about it because you will thank yourself like in the long run. So yeah, basically just like be on when you're working your business, like be all in. And another really good thing is like, if you live with others or like a significant other, communicate with them when your business hours are. Like I said, I went over this whole calendar with Chad and we like decided on it all together. And so now he knows when my business hours are, and like he can look on his calendar. If I'm like not being responsive, he'll be like, oh, she's like in her work time right now. No wonder she's not talking to me. And then we don't get in like these little fights, which we did all the time. He'd be like, babe, you're always working. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just like, this is my time. But he didn't know that. So like communication is just so important. And then when you're off, like be fully off, be fully present in, you know, with whoever you're with, whether it's like your kids or your significant other, or maybe it's just you time. Like don't be working and like half-assing your you time because that's so important and you're going to feel so drained. Something I heard from Rob Pearson recently in a training I heard, he said, don't work what did he say? I have it written down. No more working all day, work every day. So consistency is way, way, way more effective compared to like intensity. Like don't work like 70 hours, you know, but just work every single day. Like get the stuff done that you have to get done every day. And those are the coaches who are the most successful, are the ones who have shown up for years instead of like working their butts off, you know, like overtime and all these extra long hours. So really consistency is so key. So I kind of already said create a schedule, but I had that as like another bullet point. So yeah, just create a schedule. And if you have to, when you're creating your schedule, like go minute by minute because it's so helpful. Otherwise you're just going to be like wandering around like, what do I have to do with my time? And I know like this is all stuff I heard a million times and like didn't put into action for so long. So I'm just telling you guys again, like take the time to put it into action, because it's just like meal prepping or your workouts, like the time that you're taking in the beginning of the week on Sunday night, maybe to schedule your week and schedule your blocks of working and not working and date nights and, you know, like whatever the thing is on your calendar, the time it takes to do that is going to save you time during the week, like in such huge ways, because you're not going to be in the middle of the week on, you know, Wednesday, 3 p.m. going, I should really be working my business, but I just don't know what I should be doing. Like that used to be me. And now it's like, oh, like I feel a little bit all over the place. I'm just going to look at my calendar. Oh yeah, we have dinner at 5 p.m. So it's 3 p.m. I got to get this done and this done. And then it's just those boundaries really help you like stay on track and focused when you know, might have a million things going on and you're super busy. Another thing I heard on a podcast recently, it was the Keisha Fitzgerald podcast or whatever, Empower Her. She said, if it's not on your calendar, it's not important. So that was a huge gut check for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like my mom is really important to me, but our calls or our chats are never on my calendar. So I like put that in my calendar. I made it a part of my calendar, like every week on Thursday afternoon at this time, my mom and I are going to have an hour-long conversation. And then same with date days. Like Chad and I would always just kind of be like flying by the seat of our pants and like, yeah, let's have a date day this week, but we wouldn't like put it in the calendar. And I'm not saying it has to be the same every week, but just again, like take that time ahead of the week to put it in your calendar, because it's going to like make you feel way less stressed and just keep everything clear and together, and communication like between people is just going to be so much better. So again, like then when it comes to your business, like put the team calls on your calendar, put when you need to invite on your calendar, put your prospect calls if you like talk to them physically on the phone, or put when you're going to reach out to people, like put your social media post, even like give yourself a 5 to 10 minute timer and say, I'm going to write my post at this time. And if you miss that window, no post is going up today. Like, be really hard on yourself. And then I wrote in my notes, I feel like I'm all over the place, but I just wrote again, like the time it takes to do this stuff will save you so much time during the week when you're like actually doing the stuff, because you don't have to think about doing it. It's just automatic. It's the next thing on your list and in your schedule. So the last thing I want to talk about is just really, this is something like new that I have been expecting from myself, and it's really helped me up the like CEO mindset, but it's expect a quota from yourself every week. Like if this is a business, then you gotta, you know, treat it like a business. You have to expect that you're gonna get some kind of financial gain out of this. Otherwise you're literally like just, it's a hobby. Like you're not getting any reward financially for your time and energy. And that's okay if that's like what you want, but it's not okay if this is a business. Like you need to be getting payment from your time and energy. So I would challenge you guys to create a quota for yourself, like whether you want to do an amount of money or maybe you just want to do an amount of signups per week. Like maybe it's just one sign up a week, or maybe it's yeses. Like maybe you want to find 3 yeses within all the conversations you're having every week. You want to just get like nail down 3 yeses, which means no, they might not sign up this week, but they're yeses. So like they're going to sign up with you eventually. Or you can even do it backwards and find like, I want to get 50 no's this week, because that's also kind of, you know, a way to know that you're having a lot of conversations and you're doing the work, because people are actually responding and they're actually saying no. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but when I'm getting a lot of no's, I always try to tell myself, like, that means that you're sending out a crap ton of messages and you never know when the yes is going to pop out of there in that basket of no's. It's like literally digging for gold, right? Like, it's like, oh, I struck a yes. So yeah, challenge yourself to just have some kind of quota. Like I said, it doesn't have to be like direct, like I want to make $50 this week, but you like when you set up that little goal for yourself, whether it's just a yes or an actual sign up, it's going to help you like gut check every week, because during your days and during your work time, you're going to ask yourself, okay, how am I doing with my quota this week? Oh, like I haven't gotten anyone signed up. Got to get to work. Like got to up the ante or push a little bit harder or be more diligent with my time. It's just keeping you in this mindset of like assessment rather than just like going through the motions. Like I'm just doing my reach outs. Like, oh, I got to have a quality reach out. I got to know this person. I have to be able to sign them up. So for me, that's been helping a lot, because I'm actually like just constantly asking myself, what's going on? What am I doing? Is it working? And then after your week, you know, let's say you hit your quota. Awesome. Like do it again next week. Let's say you failed and you didn't hit your quota. That's still growth. That's still learning. And then you can teach yourself something new next week, or you can reassess and say, maybe I got 1 yes, but my goal was 3. Okay, next week I'm going to up my reach outs, or I'm going to up my invites to this amount. It's just going to help you all in all, like build a successful business, as opposed to just doing all this work and like never seeing a result and never getting paid for it. So the last thing, I know I just said that was the last thing, but it's just like a quote I came up with, but it's, don't let the incredible convenience of this job become your weakness. Make it your asset. So like we constantly want to be sharing that like coaching is such an amazing job, right? Like we have this convenience to work wherever, whenever, and that like needs to be your asset, not like your setback, and not the thing that throws you off. And for so long, like the convenience of it was kind of like my downfall, because I would be working all the time and Chad would get really mad at me and my parents would get really mad at me. And it's like, I loved it, but I think I wasn't as successful and productive as I could have been, because my work wasn't focused. It wasn't timely. It wasn't super productive. So yeah, just remember, like, this is super convenient. Share that, but it's not like, it doesn't need to be your downfall. Like use it to your benefit and just be smart with what you're doing. So I know that was like 1,000,001 things all over the place, but I hope that was helpful. It's just been so helpful for me to really define like this schedule and laying out a time for everything that I have to do. So, and this is really the stuff that's like easy not to do, but it's so easy to do. You know, it's just like working out. It's like, it's so easy to press play, but it's also so easy to just press Netflix play instead. So if you guys have any questions, just, you can unmute yourself, I think, or you can pop them in the chat box. Yes, I love the slide edge. I'm trying to read through this chat. Lola's just passed out on the bed now. She was like going ham on her ball. And honestly, I feel like this is such good, like everything I said is good stuff to like reassess every, you know, month, or if you have to, like every week, like be asking yourselves these questions, because it's so easy to fall out of the mindset that you're a CEO and that you're a business owner when you're just starting out. Or, I mean, like even for me, when I get in the motions of things, I'm just like, I don't know, it feels like I'm just not aware of what's going on. And when you start asking yourself these questions and remembering, then you're just way more intentional with your time. Brendan Burchard talks a lot about this kind of stuff on his podcast too. So if you need any more like PD, he's so good just about being intentional. Like he sets alarms on his phone all throughout the day that ask him like little questions, like, am I being a good husband today? And then he'll go and hug his wife. It's like this perfect little reminder. Oh, yes, I love that quote, Heather. You can't eat 70 salads on January 1st and be healthy. Anyone have any more questions? Oh, here we go. What do you do when you feel like you're really pressed for time? So yeah, always go to the IPAs. So IPA stands for income producing activities. And, you know, for me, that means inviting, because that's like just going for the gold. It's asking somebody if they're interested in learning more about your group. And if they say yes, then you could possibly get them to sign up, and that's money in the bank. So that's like the very, very, very most important thing. And then beyond that, I would say probably just like taking care of yourself, like doing your workout, being a product of the product, leading by example, and then posting on social media, because you're showing people that even in the midst of like busyness, you're showing up for yourself. And like, if you can fit it in your challenge group too. So like leading by example and those invites is so, so key. And also another thing is like scheduling stuff. So if you have, I think there's an app called Plan or Planoly, and it'll actually post your Instagram posts for you. I never do that, but I really want to get into doing that, just because like, you never know, like it's just so helpful. And I feel like nowadays social media, it doesn't matter if you're not posting multiple times a day, like stories matter. But for me, like I've been posting once a day and still getting really, really good engagement. And I've been like experimenting with the times, posting in the morning, posting in the afternoon. Last night I posted like at 8 or 9 p.m. and I hadn't posted all day. And it was like great engagement. So I just feel like Instagram is confusing. So I really want to start scheduling my posts, because I feel like as long as I'm getting one out every day, that's all that matters. Okay, so the podcast with Brendan Burchard is just on your little podcast app. If you have like an iPhone, I don't know if this is on Droids, but it's purple on the iPhone. And it's just called The Brendan Show. Let me see if I can like pull it up. Maybe you can kind of see. It's like so bright. Oops. Ah, there he is. It's like yellow. It just says The Brendan Show. So good. Yeah, Empower Her was the other one I mentioned by Keisha Fitzgerald. She's so good. Any other questions? If you guys want to just see, I feel like I need to show you my schedule. Like, look how crazy that is. I don't know what's going on this day, but it's like, it's just so in depth. And if you like writing out physically with your hands like I do, rather than just using a Google Calendar, I would highly recommend getting a planner that's not just like your basic average planner, but get one that's like, I think there's like the Happy Planner. There's a few others, but this one I found at Barnes & Noble. It's just called the Live with Purpose Planner, and it breaks down my days by the hour, and then it has like to-do lists on the side of the week and priorities on the bottom, and then it even gives you little boxes for like steps to take to break down your priorities. So, you know, I can write like hit Success Club 5 and then talk to this many people, like just breaking down every little goal. So that's really, really helpful. But yeah, and this took us probably like 30 minutes to like go over everything. But I just literally put everything in there, like wake up, work out, take Lola for a walk, make dinner, go out with Chad. But it's been helping so much. Like, and we've gotten in way less arguments this week too. So helpful. Okay, if nobody else has any questions, I'm going to stop recording. Okay, yes. Okay, last question. Chair said, do you find it's flexible or are you sticking to it to a T? So yeah, it's definitely flexible. I always used to be afraid of schedules because I'm so spontaneous and I like love being a free spirit. But for me, it's been so helpful because like even today, for instance, Chad is trying to sell their band van and they want to buy a new band van and just refurbish it or whatever. And so he had wanted to look at a van later tonight and we were planning on, or it was in the afternoon and we were planning on going to the coffee shop together, and it actually all ended up falling through. So we just stuck to the plan. But I was really happy because I was like, okay, like what is our initial plan? And I just thought of it. It was like, go to the coffee shop at this time, get work done until this time, come home, make dinner. And it just like, I don't know. I like felt like having the plan there. I just was able to think about, okay, yeah, we can just like, you can drop me at the coffee shop and then you go and do your thing instead of staying with me. And then everything worked out. I don't know. So if that helps answer it. I heard once, I think it was in a book called like Being Boss or something. They have a podcast as well, but they said having a plan and a schedule actually creates way more freedom for yourself because you don't have to stick to it. You don't have to stick to it to a T, but it gives you a base from where to start, and then you can kind of like move things around in the moment if you need to. So yeah, we're sticking to it pretty well, but we're like, there have been times where like I think on Tuesday, yeah, last night, we weren't hungry at 5 p.m. when we had said to make dinner. So we just didn't cook dinner and we like kept working for 30 minutes to an hour longer. And then we started dinner at 6. So like, it's definitely flexible in that way, but I just love having the plan to go to so that I'm not like, when are we cooking dinner, Chad? When are we cooking dinner? And like constantly asking him. Yay. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.